Hi guys, I am Shania Francis. Today I'll be answering some questions on how I became a second lieutenant in the United States Army. Some people also asked me questions on what is the process and requirements. Some people said you commissioned as a specialist, how? Somebody also said I am a PFC right now and I need pointers on how to go officer, which is they want to become a second lieutenant as a enlisted or go from being an enlisted member to being an officer. So today I'll be answering some of those questions. If you see me looking down, I'm using my iPad because I took a couple notes that I don't want to miss. So there are a couple different ways that you can become a second lieutenant in the Army. Most people know about ROTC and the Green to Gold program, but you also have direct commissioning, you have Officer Candidate School, which is OCS, and you also have West Point. I did ROTC, so I'll be mostly talking about ROTC because that's what I mainly know of, okay? So a couple people that I did ROTC with came from active duty. So a backstory on like who I am, what rank I started ROTC as, and so forth. I'm currently in the United States Army Reserves, which is not active duty. A lot of people don't know the difference. So active duty is more of the full-time Army. So they do work from Monday to Fridays. It all depends on their unit. Sometimes they have staff duty, which is outside of duty hours, and they also have CQ. As for me, I'm a reservist, which is I pretty much have my civilian life. I could go to school, I could have a part-time job or a full-time job. You know, I just have my own schedule. However, for the reserves, we have a schedule, so we know when and when we work. So with being reserves, I was able to start college. And if you're in the reserves or a National Guard, you could start ROTC. So once you're in college, it's easier for you to like do the program during your time in college without like going through a whole chain of command process of getting paperwork sorted out with your unit like the active duty Green to Gold members would do. The process and requirements for doing ROTC is the basic process of like going into any Army school. You have to do your background checks, you have to meet all physical requirements, and you must be deployable, meaning like all those physical, medical requirements are up to date. You cannot be flagged in the system. You must meet all educational requirements, and you must meet your age requirements. So the max age on becoming a second lieutenant, I believe it's 30 years old. I stand corrected if I'm not correct. I'm pretty sure it's 30 years old. But let me tell you how I did it. I joined the Army in 2017. I went to basic in Fort Jackson, 2017 August. I pretty much finished basic training and AIT January 2018. I was taking one course because I wasn't too sure on the degree path I wanted to do, so I was just like, let me not. However, I was in ROTC, JROTC in high school, and I remembered I said I wanted to do ROTC when I got to college. It wasn't until I started taking full-time courses in 2019 fall that I decided to join ROTC. When I joined ROTC, I was a freshman in college. So the program is a 4-year-long program because you also have non-prior service members, so regular civilians who join the program. And I started my freshman year without knowledge of me being able to join my 3rd year in the program. So I started my degree, I didn't have my AA, started as a freshman. When I was halfway through my 2nd year, my sophomore year, I found out I could have joined my last 2 years of ROTC. So instead of me doing the whole 4 years of the program, it was okay for me to only do the last 2 years because I'm prior service. However, I saw that somebody mentioned that if you're prior service, you could only do your MS 3 and 4 year and skip your MS 1 and 2 year. That's partially incorrect because say you're prior service and you want to do the 3rd and 4th year, you would have to have 60 credits or your associate's degree in order to start the program in your 3rd and 4th year. So to make it make sense, if you're starting the program and you don't have an associate's degree, there's no way by the end of the 2 years you're gonna have your bachelor's degree. So yes, if you're prior service, you could skip your MS 1 and 2 year. So if you're in college, you could do college the first 2 years without joining the program and then come in the program in your 3rd and 4th year. Oh, that makes sense. instead of me doing that, I did the whole 4 years of program because I did not know. So that's the process I did. I did ROTC. I started my freshman year and I did it all the way to my senior year. Somebody mentioned you commissioned as a specialist. How? So as I said earlier, I'm a Army reservist. So I pretty much was ranked up in the reserves. When you're in the reserves, you're on your own time and you're on your own schedule. So me being in college didn't matter. I could have been a private and did ROTC and moved from a private to a second lieutenant once I commissioned. You get me? So being a specialist in the reserves or being a PFC or being a private, it didn't matter because I'm reserve. However, if you're active duty now, doing the green to gold program to come to ROTC, you would have to have a packet and paperwork sorted out by your unit. So you would definitely have to go through your chain of command and they would have to release you from active duty temporarily for those last 2 years of ROTC so you could complete the program. If you're a specialist as well, you could definitely come from green to gold active duty to ROTC because I've seen people in my year level that did that and they came in as a specialist, they came in as an E5. It just all depends on your chain of command. So that's how me coming from specialist to second lieutenant worked. I went over the process and requirements. I'm gonna reiterate that. So the process and requirements, you definitely have to make sure you have your background checks done. You have to meet all physical requirements. You have to meet the educational requirements. So remember I said you cannot join ROTC as a prior service without having 60 credits or more because a bachelor's degree is 120 credits. So you have to have had your 60 credits or your associates in order to do the last 2 years of the program so that when you're done with your 4th year, which is your graduation year, you're 120 credits complete. So you're ready for your bachelor's degree, like you're gonna have your bachelor's degree. Or some people would do their master's degree. So some people came in with already having their bachelor's degree and decided they want to do a master's because they want to be a second lieutenant. So that's how it works with having your degrees and commissioning. You definitely have to meet the age requirements as well. So you could start from age 17 up until you're 30, like I said. Talking about what was my life like in ROTC. So my life in ROTC was like fluctuating. I am a U.S. Army reservist, or was a U.S. Army reservist because I am now an active duty officer. When I was in ROTC, I was a reservist, so I had my own schedule. However, the program required some things out of you. People think it's just going to college, taking your classes, and that's it. However, you have to get up in the morning for PT, you have to go to ROTC, and you have to go to ROTC labs. So PT for me, it all depends on the school that you attend. PT for me was Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 06 in the morning. So it would feel like you're active duty getting up in the morning for PT. So it would be at 06, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Once PT is done, you would go about your day, go about your regular class. If you have a job, if you have a family to take care of, you're on your own for the rest of the day. Tuesdays, we would have class. If you have your scheduled class like normal, that day would be my scheduled day for ROTC, and it would only be like an hour and a half. And then Wednesday, PT again. Thursday, we have ROTC lab. For ROTC lab, it's not just an hour and a half. It would be from like 05 in the morning to 1300. So when we go to lab, we would go over like basic Army things. So if you're in your MS1 to 2 year, you would definitely go over basic Army tactics. However, for MS3s, this is the year that we would go to cadet summer training, which is advanced camp in Fort Knox, Kentucky, to be evaluated on our tactical skills. And at this point for labs, we would go over land nav, we would go over battle drills, tactical and technical skills to prepare us for our cadet summer training, which would be the 3rd year, the summer of our 3rd year. And then at the end of each semester, we would have our FTX, which is our field training exercise. So all those labs, all those classes is preparing us for those FTXs. Usually the fall FTXs, which is from August to December semester, usually those FTXs is within your battalions. So all the schools in your area that has ROTC would come together and they would conduct the FTX. Usually the FTX is like 3 days, from like Thursday to Sunday morning, or it's just all depends on the school that you attend. And then for spring, you would have the same schedule. You would pick ROTC, and then you would have your classes on Tuesdays, you would have your labs on Thursdays. However, for spring FTX, it would be with the brigade. So for me, I went to Florida International University. When I had my fall FTX, it would be with FAU, University of Miami, Palm Beach State College, Nova Southeastern University. That's a private university. And for spring FTX now, we would have FTX with like Florida State University, FAMU. We would have FTX with Florida Technical University. We even also had Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, so they had ROTC over there, and they would fly in for the spring FTX, and we would all do that at Camp Landing. It's close to like Jacksonville, Florida. That was what would happen for ROTC. Like, that's the ROTC schedule. However, different school does different things. I've spoken to people where their PT is Monday to Wednesday, and their labs would be maybe like only 3 hours. My lab was like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so 8 hours. So it all depends on the university that you attend. They pretty much would prepare you. Like, all those classes and labs is just not for anything. Those classes and labs are to help you prepare for when you get to Kentucky and you have your evaluations, because at the end of your cadet summer training, those scores and evals will go back to your school, and when it's time for you to pick your branches, do your branch interviews, you will be ranked amongst cadets all over the country. So it would behoove you to do really well. There is this thing called OML points, which is your order of merit list, which that's what they use to determine what job you're gonna get, or branch per se, because officers, they go by branch, not MOS anymore. But that's what helps to determine what branch you get. So your GPA matters. It's great to have a good GPA. Your PT score while in ROTC, your performance, your volunteer, the clubs that you're in, all those things help put you on the ranking. So if you're good at a certain thing, keep doing it. It all adds up, like how many years you were in the program doing this and this thing, how many years you did in your clubs, how well your GPA is, if it fluctuated, if it stayed up there, you know. And we had things like, for me, I had things like peer counselor. I got points for a peer counselor. I got points for being in NSLS, which is an accredited leadership honor society. I got points for being in Black Student Union. I got points for being in Student Veterans Association. I got points for being color guard captain. You also get points for like being, well, for my school, we got points for being in a drill team. So like I said, I came straight from JROTC in high school to college, so the crossover was very important because I was already proficient in doing DNC, which is drill and ceremony. Like, all those points and things you're good at, it definitely adds up. It makes you look good, and at the end of the day, it's your branch. So if you want a branch, your first choice branch, it would be good if you participated and keep your GPI. Those were the things I did. Get up, go to PT, went about my day. Some people have families, they have kids. Some people worked on campus, some people work off campus, some people volunteered while in ROTC. So I'm telling you, it's good. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it's mid. I got pretty annoyed with some of the things like that we had to do, and as a prior service member, like, I got really annoyed with a lot of things. However, I learned patience. I definitely learned patience. ROTC taught me patience because, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. It taught me patience, and it taught me confidence. It helped me develop my leadership skills so much for me to be able to sit here and talk in front of a camera. That's one of the great things that came from ROTC for me, working on my leadership skills, because at the end of the day, you're gonna be somebody's PO. you are going to be somebody's PO. So my life in ROTC, it was fun sometimes. I met great people. I met one of my lifelong friends, but life in ROTC is fun. If you guys need more information, like I said, feel free to reach out to me. I'm all ears and I could answer the questions as best as possible. Bye.